What's going on YouTube? Today's video is going to be replacing a stainless steel pin to a G10 pin. I'm going to be replacing the stainless steel radial pin out of this cue, and this is the equipment I'm going to be using. I'm going to be using the lighter. This is a propane torch, a vice grip. Of course, this is the pin I'm going to be using. This is a G10 Radial pin, and epoxy to hold it together. This is just says 30 minutes epoxy, but for the curing time, I'm going to be using 5 minutes. This one is optional. This is the tap. This is a radial tap, and we're going to do the weight of the stainless steel and the G10 pin. I went outside the house and I set my vise on the table itself, and I clamped my vice grips on the vise. So this is what's going to be clamping the joint itself, so that once you get this torch, once you get it red hot, you should be able to get it on your vice grip and clamp it down, and then you can turn the cue itself and to remove that pin. When you're removing the joint pin, what you want to do is you want to actually get the pin itself really hot, so you can melt the epoxy inside the wood itself, and that's an easier way to extract the pin itself. So I'm going to go ahead and heat the pin up with this propane torch, and we'll go from there. That's the way to remove the joint pin. Just be careful, that joint pin is still hot. And now we're going to be waiting to get this a little bit cooler, and we're going to put the G10 pin in. With her joint pin removed, as you can see, this is the stainless steel. This one is the G10, and this one is shorter. But you do the weight comparison, that is 1.1 ounce. And then you put the G10, and it's longer, and it only weighs 0.30 ounces. So this is a lot lighter, even then it's a lot longer than this, and this will change your balance of your cue and of course the weight of the cue itself. When I removed their joint pin, and as you can see, this joint pin is very short compared to the G10, and this is what I removed out of my Predator. This is the same length as this. So, and I also measured the depth of the how far it actually drills in. And it is exactly the same length of the stainless steel. So what I got to do is actually drill into her cue to get it the same length as the G10 itself, because you can see it's very short. So I have to drill to a certain depth on the cue itself. I already taped this drill bit so that I know where I need to drill up to, and this drill bit is a 5/16 drill bit, and this fits perfectly inside it without messing up the threads, the original threads. And that's why I said the tap is optional, but this time it's not optional, it's actually required, because once I drill it, I actually got to re-tap all the way down to the proper depth. Now that's on its proper depth, now what I'm gonna do is actually I'm gonna use the tap itself and get this tapped in. I got it to the proper depth, but for some reason, the outside diameter where this part is a little too tight. This is an old radial pin, stainless steel. This is what I've been using for the markups. And it'll thread in. Once it hits this part, it's a little too tight. So I'm gonna get it and drill that and get a little bit bigger. And this is a 5/8 drill bit. I'm gonna set up the 5/8 on my lathe. First started off with hand and see how it feels. And I also marked it with tape so I know how far to go. So this should give me some clearance for tolerance. And one thing about the G10, you can't use any force on the G10 to put it in, or else you're gonna snap the G10 itself. That's why I did this, so the G10 will fit in a little bit better. And it still has threads inside where you can feel it bite into the cue. With a little bit of manipulation, now I'm able to get the G10 into the cue itself, hand tight, and that's what my goal is. Once I get it hand tight and I can get it in, now it's time for gluing. For the glue itself, I'm going to be using epoxy. This one is the hardener is 5 minutes, and the epoxy itself is 30 minutes. But when I actually did it before with the 5 minutes and 30 minutes, it actually cures in 5 minutes, and you'll be able to play with your cue because it hardens in about an hour. So this is not real scientific. Normally it's a 1-to-1 ratio. What I just normally do is I set the hardener itself because I don't have that much. Get the epoxy. Do a 1-to-1 ratio. I actually use the joint pin itself. Stir it up really well, and you stir it for about a minute or two, and then you can put it in the joint itself and let it set for curing. Once you get the epoxy all mixed up, what I like to do is actually coat the whole thing itself. And then get it ready for the cue. So since we'll be able to do it hand tight, it should be a nice fit. A little bit more. So once this is all cured, we should be able to test for straightness and see how well it plays. The epoxy has dried. As you can see, this is the finished product. It came up pretty well, and we're going to check this for straightness. You can see over here. And then we'll put the shaft together to verify that this cue is actually straight. Fits like a glove. No bumps on the joint. And we'll do the roll test. No wobbles. And of course, this is the most important. This is the way I like to check if the cue is actually straight. As you look at the tip, and it should have no wobble at all. Now we're going to do a test hit with the G10 pin and see if we have any difference on the vibration and the sound and the feel itself. Hope you enjoyed this video installing the G10 pin on this Fury cue. It was a little bit more challenging because, like I said, the pin itself that it came with is a lot shorter than the original. I actually had to drill and re-tap this and make sure the cue was going to play straight. Hopefully this video was informative. See you next time. Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe me. Don't forget the thumbs up. Bye bye.